It's an absolutely beautiful day to be planting a tree. We have a methyl plum tree right here. We're going to be putting this into our food forest, and we're going to be showing you our step-by-step process on how we're going to be planting it so it is set up for success in the future. Thanks for tuning in and follow along. Okay, so we're going to break this down into 3 easy steps. The first step is just the preparation of your site. We spent about a year building up the soil using wood chips. It's pretty obvious, everybody is probably knowing by now that you don't directly plant into the wood chips and you don't mix the wood chips into the soil. So we threw these wood chips down about a year ago, and they're still very fresh, but we're also not going to be planting directly into it, so we're okay. As long as you don't mix the wood chips into the soil, you're not going to be robbing the tree of the nitrogen it's going to need. But we did also create a little ecosystem around it to invite the pollinators to come in to help with the pollination of this tree for next spring. We planted a small little meadow in the background with some rudbeckia, some Joe Pye weed, ironweed, and little blue stem, big blue stem, just a bunch of things that are going to help bring in different types of pollinators. So we feel that being able to set the tree up in an environment where it's going to be successful to thrive is going to be a great start to getting this project going. Step number 2 is going to be planting the tree. Now, with the preparation that we made, we removed about 14 inches of the wood chips, and we created a nice little planter box out of some fallen trees on our property that have aged for a couple years, and we created a little bit of a box around it and removed all the wood chips. You can see there's a lot of leaves on it right now. I just put that on there to retain the moisture so the soil doesn't dry out. But what we did, because the plum tree likes to have a rich, loamy, sandy type of soil, we concocted our own blend of soil that we made here, and we used some compost, and we used some landfill dirt that we got from the store, and we mixed it with a little bit of peat moss as well as a little bit of vermiculite in there for some airflow. Put a little bit of manure in there that had been aged, and we created this nice loamy soil that's going to allow this tree to survive and thrive in. We want to make sure that we can locate where the tree was grafted. Most of the trees are grafted because they're going to improve the performance of the tree and help with the disease resistance and make it a stronger specimen. So in this case, it's important to locate the graft, which looks like it's right there, and we want to plant that to the north. We don't want the sun to be scalding that part of the tree. We generally opt to plant it a little bit above the soil level because underneath all of this nice soil, there is a very hard, dense clay soil. That's why we spent so much time building up with the wood chips, but we prefer to put it about an inch above, and that's going to allow it to sink right down to the level that we need. right, it's looking pretty good. Put a little bit of a mound on it to direct the water away from it, again, because of the clay soil that we have, but I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with the soil. I'm happy with how this turned out. The next step is just going to be to water it in and to put a nice layer of mulch over it. Your choice. I like to go with shredded leaves as well as some wood chips on top of it. I'd like to really lay on the wood chips to retain that moisture. So we're gonna plant a little comfrey in here in the one corner pocket. Comfrey is a nice chop and drop plant that helps put nitrogen back into the soil. Just trying to get the wood chips away from the stem. We don't want to have it up against the stem completely. I think everybody knows that, but it's always good to throw that out there. You don't want to suffocate the plant. You want to let the oxygen flow into the plant. So I like to build it up a lot around it. So now you can see that the wood chips are a little bit higher than the actual level of the planter, the tree planter that I put around it. But this thing's going to retain moisture nicely. It's not going to get oversaturated because of the loamy soil mixture that we concocted. So I believe this is ready to go.